Good evening, everyone. Today is the 3rd of June 2025. Good evening, everyone. Today is the 3rd of June 2025. This is Sachin Karnik. We are continuing our online Angel Wing Personal Transformation Program today. This is year number 2, week number 22. And in the current series, we are examining specifically energy revitalization, and that specific block, that 13-week block, will continue until week number 26, and then we'll go to the next section. Just a quick reminder of the 5 stages: energy activation and utilization, energy equalization, energy conservation, energy revitalization, energy transmutation. Just a quick reminder that energy conservation and revitalization are interconnected phases in personal energy management. Just like a bank account that we have to manage and take care of carefully, how much we input, how much we spend, etc. The same thing is true with regards to conservation and then the revitalization. Revitalization can be considered to be like interest that is earned on savings, something like that. Okay, so today we want to continue from last time, where we talked about intentional cognitive renewal. So this is a very powerful concept to assert one's free will, one's potentiality in the kind of renewal that we're looking for. So mental revitalization plans mental revitalization plans reset attentional schema, enabling fresh thinking cycles, right? So what does that mean exactly? What's an attentional schema? The attentional schema refers to the brain's internal model of where focus should be allocated. This model helps in managing and directing attention by filtering out irrelevant information and highlighting what is important. The attentional schema is crucial for efficient cognitive functioning, as it allows the brain to prioritize tasks and manage distractions effectively, right? So there is an internal way, internal process, internal set of activities neurologically where we can place our attention in a specific modality. So mental revitalization plans reset attentional schema, enabling fresh thinking cycles. Let's try to examine this a bit. So there's 3 concepts here. We want to revitalize energy that is in the mind. Revitalization, if you remember from past many recordings, it means to bring about vitality, to bring about re-energization after a certain amount of rest, conservation, like that, So that is what that concept generally means. Now, we do want fresh thinking. Well, what's fresh thinking? Fresh thinking cycles. So fresh thinking is where the TEMDE, the thoughts, emotions, memories, desires, energy, they are functioning in a very enlivened, very bubbly, very beautiful, very energized new way, rather than getting bogged down by old schemas and old patterns. So there's old schemas, and our personality is made out of schemas, and there's a lot of research on schema psychology. But in simple way to understand what's a schema is just another word. I think it was coined by Carl Jung, actually. And it basically means that we have certain programmed neuropsychological patterns that make up our personality. These are brain maps. In fact, there's now research done on the mapping of the brain itself. So it's called Brainscapes. There's a book actually called Brainscapes. So it all ties together. We don't want to be caught up in the language distinctions. We want to realize the truth behind this experientially. So fresh thinking, we can expand that concept to fresh cognition, meaning fresh thinking, fresh emotions, fresh way of activating memories, new ways of opening the dimension of desire. That's a very intricate subject. And then the fresh and non-obstructive flow of energy. Right? So this word fresh, you can put that in quotation if you want. It means new, it means renewed, it means revitalized. Yes, so that is the point here, that to actually be in that state is what we're looking for. And is it possible? Yes, certainly. I just want to make a quick caveat. Some new people have joined here online with us. It is strongly recommended that you do listen to this series from the beginning and do the exercises. But if you don't want to, it's all right. You can always just stay with us here and just continue from this point on forward. It'll be just as fine. All right, now, how to do some of this? How do we actually bring about? What are some techniques for that? Scheduled cognitive breaks. Diminish cortical noise and sharpen reasoning. Do we need a cognitive break? Yes, definitely. We need an emotional break also. So how do we even set that up? Now let's connect fresh thinking and cognitive breaks together. So if you kind of make a triangle, there's mental revitalization in the center of that triangle. And then the 3 points, there is attentional schema, fresh thinking, and cognitive break. 3 cognitive breaks. It's very powerful. All that simply means is that we are able to bring about the highest quality energy in our thinking process as needed, and then pull energy out of that cognition when the activity is done. Because cognition, meaning thinking capacity to think, it is a tool. It is a process to go through for some purpose. A tool, just like a physical tool, is used to fix something for some purpose. There's some reason behind using a tool. Similarly, our thinking process, cognition process, is just a tool. That's all it is. But what has happened in the human condition, because of the higher brain capacity, that tool, that is cognition, has remained on unnecessarily. It remains on unnecessarily. If it can remain active to the extent that it needs to be, and then there is a pullback into silence, into meditation, into an enjoyable, relaxed activity, that's a cognitive break. Cognitive breaks are very good. Now, that cognitive breaks are not laziness or procrastination. That's not what it is. You see, because this is part of the problem, right? The energy that is being used in the thoughts, emotions, memories, and desires, that energy is being overutilized. And that's a problem for most people. People say, I think too much. I'm thinking too much, analyzing too much, just trying to play around with my life experiences too much. Exactly. We give a lot of thought to the objects, people, memories, places that have a force of attachment, which you've heard me talk about the word entanglement quite often. And because of the entanglement, if there's entanglement, that's a type of attachment, then there's going to be a lot of drain, cognitive drain, emotional drain. So all 5 go together, the TEMDE, thoughts, emotions, memories, desires, and energy. They all go together. And so they are drained by overanalysis, overthinking, harmful attachments, overeating, oversleeping, overactivity. Because our tendency of the mind is that if we are in one modality and we are kind of comfortable with that, we just want to stay in that. We don't want to change it. So the comfort level of any particular activity has certain purpose, but beyond that, it becomes actually relatively harmful, like comfort foods. We sometimes just keep eating and keep eating and keep eating. Well, why? There's no need for that. The body doesn't need all that. It's more psychological. It's more emotional. That's an example, right? So these kinds of things are going on throughout our life. Now, the point here for today is that as we continue our exploration further, is that we can revitalize stored energy by taking cognitive breaks by just detecting in the moment, oh, I'm thinking too much about this. Just pull out of that, pull the energy out of it. We say, well, just don't think about it, but that's not so easy. So try to keep attention on how much energy is being wasted in that direction. That I'm not going to give that situation more energy, more time of my life, because time is limited in life. Time is limited and energy is limited. Both are finite quantities. Time doesn't come back. If I spend 5 minutes thinking about something somebody said to me, and I keep thinking about it, 5 minutes turns to 10 minutes, and then analyzing it, so we're just burning up time. We're burning up energy. In year number 1, we talked about time and energy for an entire 13-week series. So again, revitalization is not going to be possible unless we can stop the burning up of energy internally with regards to the cognitive overutilization. Too much utilization could be going on. So it's just a matter of being aware of this, that you can say, oh, I'm gone too far, pull back, do some alternate nostril breathing, maybe listen to some spiritual or religious songs, whatever you want to do, go for some walks, and then pull back and come back to the present. Because it's very, very easy to get overrun by our memories. Also, the M part, the memories part. The memories come up, some situation comes up, regret comes up, self-blame, blaming others, self-shame, all those kinds of things. So blame, shame, guilt, these things come up. Right? So the analysis is over-analysis at times. And as soon as that happens, we are out of that synchronous state that we want to be in. Right? So the doorway into that synchronous state is what we are attempting to open by the 5-stage process. Right? So scheduling cognitive breaks is meaningful. It's powerful. It has a lot of meaning behind it. You see, and it has to do, and it definitely has to do with the fact that there is a lot of energy that is constantly flowing through the entire system. And until and unless we can recognize that, until and unless we can actually see, its potentiality, we will not be able to conserve the adequate amount of internal power. Because power is raw, energy is raw. We want to bring it into a conservation, revitalization, cyclical loop. Right? So conservation, so it's actually we utilize some of it. Certainly, we utilize a certain amount of it, and then it's activated, it's utilized, and then eventually some portion of it is conserved again, as we talked about extensively in the first 13-week series this week, and then revitalized. So activated, conserved, some part is conserved even after being activated, and then it is revitalized because you have utilized the dormant power into a kinetic state, and then have been able to do something really wonderful with that by reintegrating it within, and it takes on a new form itself. And that's what revitalization is about. That's why we need cognitive and emotional breaks. We need them. We need a break from ourselves. And that is the thing. I got a message, your picture is frozen. Yeah, there's some kind of a memory thing going on here. I'm trying to close some programs here. It should be all right in just a moment. Hopefully you can still hear me. Okay. So the point is that as we continue in the 24-hour cycle, it is a matter of detecting that is my thinking process going too far. Now, it goes both ways, thinking and feeling. There's a demarcation. How much energy and time is being spent. And as soon as I can detect that, I can pull away from it. I have to detect it and then not take my thoughts further in a direction that does not help at all. You see, so again, it's in the moment. It's like literally in the moment to detect it. And when we do that, we are then able to really increase prefrontal dopamine. So the dopamine level is better in the brain. There's priming that happens also. So there's a lot of good things that can happen. So mindful breathing, just as we remember, we just stated this before, breath, energy, and the speed of the mind are connected together. So when you stabilize one, you stabilize the other two. All right, so it's very straightforward. Our program is application-based. Mindful breathing means to be aware of the inward breath, the outward breath, holding the breath a little bit, releasing it slowly. All those amazing breathing techniques that are available that we do quite often also. That is called mindful breathing. And it's very, very helpful. Again, things like journaling, reflective journaling, externalizes clutter, freeing the working memory. The working memory we have needs to be free. We don't want clutter in that. So it's about not carrying over past issues, past disturbances in the activities that are done in the present. That is a type of freedom. Another point here is that novelty exposure re-edges synaptic pruning for insight formation. There's three concepts here. Novelty, new experiences in life, new ways of seeing things in life, enjoying even old experiences in new ways. That's novelty. So novelty exposure, the more we're exposed to novel situations, like for example, reading new books or learning new material or going for walks in parks that you haven't been to before, assuming they're safe and things like that. Meeting new people, forming new relationships, deepening current relationships, all of those kinds of things, it re-edges synaptic pruning. The synapses get better. They get pruned in the right way, so they get reconnected in the best way so that there is better insight formation. That's very, very, very beautiful. Insight formation. Insight means that one is able to see. One is able to see within oneself exactly what the activity of the TEMDE are. What is the flow of this activity across 12 dimensions of life. So this is a bit of an advanced idea, right? So now we're connecting insight formation with the TEMDE, thought, emotion, memory, desire, energy, in relation to the 12 dimensions. Now let's talk about that a bit and see if we can probe that some more. So if you're taking notes in your notebooks and all that, you can write this down, right? So you've got insight formation, the formation of vision, understanding, clarity, seeing things better. Yes, that is there. There is the re-pruning, the reformulation of the brain itself when insight actually begins to awaken and open. And then at the same time, there is the clutter that is inside the mind is also going away, right? So the cluttering goes away. There is much more novelty because that novelty allows for just a new perspective in life. I mean, we need novelty. If we don't get novelty, we get bored, we get tired, of the same cycles, and it becomes very hard. So some amount of novelty is necessary. And this is true in relationships, it's true with clothing, it's true with trips, it's true with day-to-day activity. Not that you can be novel all the time, find something novel all the time. No, it doesn't work that way. Most of life is repetitive. But even within that, finding new ways, finding new ways to progress, and seeing where one's passion is, and then on that basis, taking steps to move ahead very beautifully. Right? So novelty, synaptic pruning, the beautiful revitalization that we're looking for, it all comes together very, very nicely. Right? So these are key points. So what are some exercises based on this? Well, one very simple exercise is to first just do mindful breathing, like every half an hour, every 20 minutes, or every half an hour, every 1 hour. Put a reminder on your phone or on the Alexa device or whatever, and put a reminders on there so that every half an hour, preferably, You take a 2-minute break, take deep breaths in and out, move the body, do the stretch exercises that we have shown in this series. And then on that basis, one can progress beautifully. Journaling is also good. If you want to write some things down, it's good. You can journal, like writing it down is great. If you don't want to do that, you can also make a recording for yourself. That's also easy to do. Lots of ways of going about it. But it's not good to be just in one's own head all the time. That's why we have so many dialogues in Angel Wing, and we have groups, and it's good that people talk to each other. It helps quite a bit. Okay, next point here. So intentional cognitive renewal, it has to do with aligning with the overall, aligning with the idea of deliberate renewal rather than passive rest. See, that's different, right? There's a distinction between deliberate renewal versus passive rest. Deliberate renewal means that I am consciously going to renew my mind, my emotions, my feelings, my internal experience deliberately from where it is right now, by moving the body, by walking, by maybe running, by some stretch exercises, maybe by having a nice conversation, maybe by journaling, whatever. There's ways of doing this renewal, being more in nature, not holding onto different ideas or different memories that just don't serve me, right? So again, this is a big homework exercise for this week. Where is my deliberate renewal? Can I deliberately renew myself? Rather than a passive rest. Okay, I'm just kind of relaxing. People say I'm just relaxing, not doing much. But you could be consciously, deliberately renewing. Like you could be just sitting in your sofa, and you could be passive rest versus deliberate renewal, where you're doing some alternate nostril breathing, taking some steady breaths, being aware of your mind, just staying in the present, maybe even watching something or listening to something, but it's done in the present by keeping attention in the present, with attention to the kind of quality of the experience one is having. And that goes back to the quality, quantity, dimension, depth, structure, those 6 points, right? So deliberate renewal is different from passive rest. See these points here. So I want to make sure these points are very clear, right? So there's attentional schema. Let's go back just to review it quickly. Attentional schemas are how we can deliberately, consciously utilize our programming, our conditioning, our personality structure to enhance attention so that fresh thinking happens. Fresh emotions, new, better quality emotions are going to help us quite a bit. So this is called attentional schema planning. Resetting attentional schema to reset from old patterns to new patterns, and then that enables fresh thinking cycles. This was first point. Point number 1. Point number 2 is to schedule deliberately cognitive breaks. Because we are so much caught up in our heads because of all the stimulation that goes on Facebook and all the other online media and everything else. It's constantly being bombarded by all kinds of things. So as a result of that, what tends to happen is that we get very much drawn into a mental fatigued state. We just get tired. Actually, we are getting too tired too often, psychologically more than physically. I guess if you get tired physically, then you can just rest, and that's a good quality rest. Again, one needs to be careful with that too. You don't want to be exerting yourself. But these days, most people in the world are getting tired emotionally, intellectually, mentally. And that tiredness causes diminished cortical functioning. It diminishes our reasoning capacity. It diminishes the dopamine levels inside the brain. It reduces synaptic pruning. So we want to reverse all of that. So mindful breathing is an excellent technique. And if you use a mantra, it's very good, or a prayer. You can do it as a prayer. Something that really resonates is fine. You can also do affirmations. There's lots of ways of going about this, right? So incorporate that every hour, every half an hour. And if you do it like for 8 hours straight, every half an hour, do a 2-minute mindful breathing technique, you'll see how much benefit that has. We can see the benefit right away. By the end of the day, we're going to have more energy. We're going to want to do more. We're not going to be so listless and tired and like, I'm coming to the end of the day, I'm just so exhausted, I'm this, I'm that. You can actually rest at nighttime in an energized way. Sounds kind of strange to say that. But that's what this deliberate renewal is all about. The next to the last point on the slide, deliberate renewal is what sleep is all about. So when a person is ready to go to sleep, there is so much good quality experience throughout the day that the feeling of just splendidness and what a beautiful, wonderful, balanced, happy day this was. I really did all the things I wanted to do. Now I'm just ready to renew deliberately. This might sound a bit difficult. I mean, at nighttime, can you deliberately renew? Yes, definitely. Simply because, well, it's not so simple, but it takes little practice. As you're falling asleep, again, there's that carryover from the daytime of the good quality experience that you're in, not tension or stress and all that stuff. So then the nighttime is so much better because the transition into the sleep state is done very mindfully, is done very harmoniously. And those are more advanced subjects, about mastery within dream state. That's something we'll talk about probably in the 5th year. This is only our 2nd year. That is very advanced subject. So we'll not be able to do that at this stage, not until 12 dimensions are well balanced, self-mastery has been achieved in the daytime. Until that happens, you'll not be able to really have a much better quality experience at nighttime. Nighttime experiences are going to be, or they are, a direct barometer of how much progress we have made towards self-mastery, as I mentioned before also. All right, so those are some additional points. Now, a couple more things here. I don't want to overload too much. I want to just make sure that, that the exercises, that we actually do these exercises, right? Now, the deliberate renewal exercise, mindful breathing is one, doing scriptural study or religious studies another, attending religious programs is another, listening to devotional songs. This is all on the religious spiritual side is good stuff. Going into nature, going on retreats, going on walks, reading new material, learning new kinds of information, processing it. One of the things I like to do, as you all know very well, is to do a lot of research, and now with the help of the AIs, things have gotten a lot easier. Make a lot of audios, record. That's just my life, right? You have to see what works for you. Some people, it might be tennis or bowling or playing chess or cooking, or it's going to be different for each person. Okay, now the last point on this slide is that intentional cognitive renewal forms foundation for all subsequent thought-related gains. That's exactly correct, because once we are in an intentional modality where the intention is so clear that my life is not going to be dictated by the other people, situations, or problems of the world. I'm going to dictate my life the way I want to dictate it. You see, so this is where subsequent thoughts, subsequent thought-related gains comes about. That the future thoughts are going to be better quality feelings, better quality decisions, because we have asserted our own natural freedom, right? So these are some points here. And again, there's a lot of beautiful exercises to be done, but I just try to show 2 or 3 exercises each week. Okay, very good. Now, this is just another diagrammatic way of trying to understand these concepts here. So mental revitalization plans, what are they? What does it mean? So these are structured practices, short mindful breaks, movement, breath work, novelty exposure, stuff we've talked about, timed throughout the day to deliberately restore cognitive resources. Yes. So this is very good. So to do this, try to do it starting tomorrow. Start to do it tomorrow. Structure it, plan for it. Put it in the calendar, put reminders. Why this matters? Because it provides a framework rather than leaving recovery to chance. Recovery meaning recovery of utilized energy. Ensuring the brain gets predictable, periods of renewal. Because the brain is a machine. It's a biochemical machine. It's a mechanism. So if it gets predictable periods of renewal, it functions a lot better. And that will promote transmutation, the transformation that we're looking for. Okay. Again, the point here, resetting attentional schema. Right? Attentional schema is the brain's internal mode or model of which focus can be allocated. We can allocate our focus in a particular way through attention, through the schema that is inside of us, through the personality structure, the patterns that are within us. Intensive work gradually fills the schema with task-specific biases and lingering distractors, right? So when we are just doing the same thing again and again and again, there's all kinds of stuff that just gets programmed into a pattern. That's what that means. So a reset clears those biases, much like rebooting a cluttered dashboard. So we have to reset the schema from inside. For example, if I'm having a conversation with a family member and some old stuff comes up again and again and again, then I need to reset it. I said, come back, sit very silently, quietly, again, do some meditation practices or do some writing or do some prayers. But to reset, meaning to look at that pattern in a new way, to reset the pattern, to pull the energy out of that pattern and to build a new pattern, or to look at it in a different way. That's what that is. So that lingering a distraction goes away. A reset clears those biases. Right? Now, why is that important? Because that restores top-down control of the dorsal frontoparietal network. That's the more technical neurological language there, which lowers noise in the salience network in the brain and clears working memory buffers. Several things happen here neurologically. Okay, so top-down control of the dorsal frontoparietal network. It restores better control of the more evolved brain, the more evolved part of the cortex that gets more energy. It gets much more power, and it lowers the noise in the salience network. The salience network is where we place certain kind of saliency, importance, but we have importance that's scattered across the 12 dimensions. Now you can see how this gets a bit advanced. The saliency network is active in the 12 dimensions. So each of those 12 dimensions gets a certain amount of energy and time and schema and all that kind of stuff is active there. And it gets dispersed, it gets scattered, right? So when we reset our attentional schema, we are able to have much better control, top-down meaning from the higher brain to the lower regions. That's point number one. The salience network, with all of its clutter, its noise gets reduced, and there is clear working memory. Our working memory buffers, so our working memory buffers are cleared. There's a lot of memory stuff that just is inside. Now, what's the way to do this? Again, many ways. One of the ways is a mantra. Mantra can be very, very useful. Another can be a repetitive prayer. Another can be sitting in nature, taking deep breaths. We mentioned this last time. Somewhere I mentioned in one of these recordings about just going into nature and just being with yourself for 10, 15 minutes. Turn off all the technology and just completely come to the present. And the more you do that activity, it resets the attentional schema. I think we talked about that maybe last time. I think it was in the PTP program. So I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's somewhere I talked about it last week. Right, so this is another key point. Because the schemas are, they hold images of all of the other people around us. They hold images of our own perspective of who we are. And we get caught up inside that. So it needs to be reset. For example, if you're in a relationship with your significant other, well, the schema needs to be reset with love and affection and care and a lot of forgiveness and all that, not holding on to disturbances inside, right? So there's lots of exercises for this. There's hundreds of exercises which we'll get into. I don't want to overload too much. Just wanted to show you a couple of things to do this week rather than trying to do too much all at one time, right? But one simple way to do the reset, as I mentioned before, sit in nature, or you can sit in your home in your meditation space, steady breaths in and out. Just be with yourself and let go of this hanging on to old trash that doesn't need to be held inside our mind. Let that go. Throw the trash out. Meaning what? Don't resonate with that anymore. It has no purpose. There's nothing to it. Others might resonate with it. We don't have to. Right? So that will keep changing the schemas from inside out. Again, it's a very big area. You can get multiple PhDs on that subject of schemas and exactly how they work. They're very advanced concepts in psychology. Okay, enabling fresh thinking cycles. So once the schema is cleared, the next bout of work begins with renewed selectivity and sensitivity to new cues, supporting both analytic precision and creative association. I'll explain what that means. So once we begin this clearing up process, our selectivity, what we should be inputting inside our mind, who we should be interacting with, how time is to be utilized, what should be the kind of stimuli, who should be our friend circle, who should be, which family member should we be with, which group should we be with, all those kinds of things begins. That is selectivity to new cues. Cue is what? Cue is stimuli. Okay, that's just another word for some kind of a trigger, a stimulus that comes into the mind, right? So it's called cue response, and so selectivity increases with fresh thinking cycles. We need that. Every human being needs fresh thinking cycles. We are caught up in old thinking cycles so often. Nothing good comes out of it. At least we can think freshly, and we can feel and integrate our emotions with that. And then our sensitivity increases. Sensitivity in a very positive way increases. So that supports analytic precision. Our analytical capacity is used as necessary precisely in the right way, at the right amount, without just burning our cognition out. That's called analytical precision. So analytical precision versus over-analysis. These are two different things here. It's on a continuum, right? And then in that sense, there's creative association. The associations across all 12 dimensions are creative. So that now you see how this connects together. The TEMDE, then each of the TEMDE have the quality, quantity, direction, dimension, depth, structure. Each of those 5 has all 6 aspects. And when you combine that together in terms of the 12 dimensions, and if it's handled properly without loss of energy, that is called creative association. I hope that makes sense. I know it's a mouthful, but that's what we're talking about this year, next year, all the way into the full 7-year program. And we're going to do this every Tuesday for 7 straight years, by the will of God, hopefully. That's what we consider, without any kind of obstruction, to reach that stage. Now, why is this good for us? Why it matters? It prevents cognitive rigidity. We've talked about that concept before. You get too rigid inside. Just thinking in only one way, feeling in only one way, seeing things in only one way, not flexible. And many times some conflict has happened in the past, some issue has happened in the past. We become rigid because of that. Say, okay, leave it be. Let it be where it is in the past. Move on from that. See things with fresh light. Have normal conversations with individuals. Don't bring about negative thinking. And if there is something from the past that needs to be discussed, you can do so in a nice way and move on from there. But sometimes the other party is not interested. Leave them alone. That's also okay. That can happen also. So cognitive rigidity is to be prevented by fresh thinking cycles. Fresh thinking cycles reduce all kinds of this, what is called these errors where we try to just preserve the old patterns. We don't need to preserve them. You see, so that's not necessary. And it also raises the likelihood of insightful aha moments. You get these awakened moments like, oh, I see this, I see this. Those aha moments, they free us from the inside out. Okay, now, I know I don't want to overload too much. I hope you got some good exercises to do this week. Now, what I do want to do here, I want to move into the quantum quality, because we're already at 8:44. Time flies. There's a lot of amazing information. There's no shortage of information. It's a matter of really applying all of this one step at a time. And then please do ask questions after I'm done here. So we have our Q&A session afterwards. So quantum quality number 22. We have a quantum quality every single week. There are 52 quantum principles, in fact. You can call them quantum qualities or quantum principles. These are jumps into higher states of living by applying them regularly and clearly. So personal energy storage in thoughts, emotions, memories, and desires, the TEMDE, right? Thoughts, emotions, memories, desires, and energy. I mean, the energy is in that included, without suppression or indulgence. So this is the key. Suppression of the TEMDE is a problem. Overindulgence also is an energy drain. It's a problem. So storage of energy, that's the conservation. And then revitalization without suppression or indulgence. It's a quantum principle. It's a quantum jump into a very high level of realization and high level of intelligence, high level of just functioning in every dimension of one's life. So these are just some basic ideas that we've talked about before. What is personal energy? What is indulgence? Things like that. There's just a quick review here. Emotional regulation techniques are also very, very clear. Healthy thought regulation. So this stuff you already know. It's just in here just as a review. The key point here is that things like meditation, breath control, yogic exercises, all of this helps us to stay away from overindulgence and stay away from suppression also. Right? So we are looking at that balance state, balance without suppression. This is a good diagram. Percentage of individuals balancing energy effectively. 50% of respondents, this is based on some research done, report achieving balance by maintaining a healthy emotional state, while 30% acknowledge issues stemming from suppression. Suppression is an issue in itself, so that becomes some interesting research there. So distribution of energy indulgence behaviors. 40% of individuals engage in healthy energy indulgence, while 30% practice it occasionally, and another 30% fall into excessive behaviors. So only 40% of the people engage in healthy experiences. Indulgence is not a problem as long as it doesn't get into excess, and that's so and then it can swing back into suppression. So that's some research there also. So monitoring energy levels, introduction of self-care, digital tools for energy monitoring. There's a lot of them available. Rise of the mindfulness practices. You can see that has increased substantially. Okay, so interconnectedness of all aspects. The TEMDE, they're always interconnected all the way through. And then there are case studies. There's emotional balance. There's quite a few number of case studies that really show this. That it is well researched in many different ways, right? Energy storage in practice, reevaluation, support groups, environmental design, creating the environment that you want to be in, that state of mind that you want to be in. Then, of course, doing physical activities that really work well, right? So there's always challenges and pitfalls of all different kinds, but it's our own mind is our biggest pitfall usually. All right, so with that, just a quick reminder of the vitamin M envelope. We've talked about that before. Use 10% of money saved in the vitamin M envelope. Hopefully the concept has become really clear at this point. And then again, homework exercise. How is my energy being used this week? That's it. Look at your schedule. Look at your schedule this week. Schedule everything as much as you can. Stick to it. Go hour at a time and stay in that revitalization mode. And with that, let's do our closing song. Then we'll open it up for Q&A.